Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm CHIOMA or Chi, and if it's welcome back to you, I just want to say thank you for sticking around as I have been gone for 4 months for absolutely no reason at all, but I'm back. And I'm here to give y'all my top 10 reads of 2021. 2021 was an amazing reading year. I read 117 books, and I'm going to show you my favorite 10 of those 117 books. So let's get into it. Oh, okay, this is definitely in no particular order because if I was taxed to order these, this video would not be out for another couple months. So in no particular order, we're gonna start with the shortest book on the list for no particular reason, but that is Remote Control by Dr. Nnedi Okorafor, one of my favorite authors of all time. You know, I love a Nigerian American moment, and this is Remote Control. This was sent to me by my friend Sage. Sage has a Booktube channel. I think they just changed their name though. It used to be Sage Reads. I'll put it in the description box, but Sage sent me this and I was so grateful because look at it now. It's on my top 10. But this is Remote Control by Dr. Nnedi Okorafor, and it's basically about a girl named Sankofa, and she is known as the adopted daughter of death. She has the power of death, but not really sure how to wield it. It's really around her emotions and when she's around people. So she kind of has this uncontrollable power to wield death, basically, and the book is about her going on a journey trying to find the source of her power in order to try to get rid of it. This book is so atmospheric. First of all, if you know anything about CHIOMA, I'm a sci-fi girl. I'm a sci-fi girly, sci-fi over everything. And this book was African futurism, sci-fi at its absolute best. Dr. Nnedi Okorafor literally paints the most beautiful scenes, most beautiful world. It is just the definition of an atmospheric read. So this one easily made top 10, like no questions asked. This next book, I'm gonna make this quick because, you know, I know there's a lot of contention, there's a lot of controversy, people got a lot of opinions, and I don't care about any of that because A Kingdom of Flesh and Fire was and is on my top 10 best books that I read last year. We're not gonna talk about the third book. We're not gonna talk about what that did to my life, what that did to my heart. We're not gonna talk about that. We're talking about the second book here, which is Pure Gold. I know a lot of people, a lot of my closest Booktube friends despise this book. You know, their opinions are wrong, but it's okay, friendship. This book was actually great. It's the second book in the From Blood and Ash series, and From Blood and Ash, the first book, was actually just a regular 3-star read for me, but this book 8. At least the book was 5 stars for me. I'm so sorry. So basically it follows Poppy on the next set of her journey as she learns more about Hawk and the world and everything that she's been told, whether or not it's true. It's a lot of info dumping. Jennifer L. Armentrout loves an info dump, but I love it. I love being so attached to Poppy's stream of consciousness, and I think that's what irked a lot of people, but I'm not part of that camp. I love this book. Let's switch it up real quick, and I'm gonna give my favorite manga series that I read in 2021, and that is easily Sweat and Soap. This is volume 8, and I think there's 11. Pretty sure it's completed, but you know, I'm gonna read the rest of the volumes very sporadically because, you know, your girl gotta let it last. Like, you know, life's hard, so I gotta make this series last. And basically it's a cute office romance, kind of like an older shoujo, if that exists, but it's basically about this girl who has an excessive sweating problem, and then this guy who works at the same soap making company that she does, who is a soap, like he's in product design for the scents of the soap. So she has an excessive sweating problem. He has a very attuned nose. He smells her. And I'm gonna stop with that description right there because it sounds weird. I understand, it sounds weird, but it's amazing. I love this series. Such a feel-good comfort series, like forever in one of my favorite manga series of all time. Like, and it's 8 volumes and I'm not tired of it at all. Like, I highly recommend it. If you want to get into kind of like really lighthearted office romancy with very fun characters and very endearing characters, like I 100% recommend Sweat and Soap by Kintetsu Yamada. I absolutely love this. Let's go to my favorite fantasy read of the year, and I feel like everyone saw this coming. There's no questions asked here, and that is Jade City. Actually, there may be questions because I know a lot of people liked Jade War better than Jade City, but something about Jade City, my heart, like this one has a very special place in my heart. If you haven't read this book, I don't know why. Like, it is such a great book. Like the political intrigue, like the characters, like if Fonda Lee is going to do anything, she's gonna write her characters down. Like these characters are so, like, I don't even want to say morally gray because it doesn't even it's not as all-encompassing as I needed to describe the Call family. So basically it's an East Asian inspired fantasy series that centers around two rival clans who are in charge of Jade. And Jade is basically a kind of natural element that people can wield in order to have supernatural powers. Supernatural or just like extra human abilities. And basically they are in kind of a clan war over the control of kind of K-Con and this area that has the Jade as well as over the Jade. And the family dynamics, the characters, the politics, the maneuverings, the like killings. This book did it for me. This book did it for me. Like literally this book ate, and that's all there is to that. Sorry if there was like a camera change or anything there. I had to go get my bagel from the oven. Our toaster oven's broken, so my bagel was in like the full oven. Anyways, let's go on to the next one of my favorite reads of 2020. And let's get into some romance. Let's get into some romance because you know your girl loves romance. Real by Kennedy Ryan. This book literally gave me everything I needed. Fine main characters, beautiful main characters, drama like you've never seen it, literally family dynamics like I'm still not over the incident that occurred in the beginning of this book and how it was resolved. Like if you know, you know. This book really gave it everything that needed to be gave for a romance book. It's called a forbidden romance, and for some reason I have trouble conceptualizing contemporary books as forbidden romances or enemies to lovers, just because is it really forbidden if there's not going to be a war started if you all get together? Are you really enemies if no one's trying to kill each other? These are the questions I ask when I'm reading romances. But Real by Kennedy Ryan is a forbidden-ish romance. It's about an actress who is on Broadway just doing her Broadway thing when a friend of a friend sees her perform and then instantly wants to cast her in his movie. And it's pretty much a forbidden romance between him, the producer, the head of this movie, and her, the lead actress. And he's had some past with kind of like, you know, dating his actresses before, and it's a lot. So, you know, she don't really want to get into it, but she also don't care. Like, she's really like, his past ain't got nothing to do with me. And I love that for her. Real is amazing. It's a beautiful Black romance. Kennedy Ryan did her thing. This is easily one of my favorite romances of 2021. On that same wave of favorite romances, you listen, I need everyone to just lower maybe their expectations of me and before you hear this book, because I love this book down. And yes, it might be because TikTok got to me this year. I was obsessed. I had a very obsessive relationship with TikTok this year, but it got to me, and that is Ice Planet Barbarians. Yes. Listen, I understand that this book has its flaws. I understand that this may be not the best work of literature. I understand all this stuff, but it was a great book and it was amazing. I really, really loved it. Basically, it's about this group of girls who is kidnapped from Earth to be sold in the alien black market. For whatever reason, the aliens who kidnap them, the horrible aliens, they have to crash land on this ice planet. And the main girl, this girl, Georgie, has to go task herself with going out to find shelter, food, whatever, and runs across this alien race. And it's alien romance, so you know how things go from there. Me personally, I really love my romances to be a max 3 on the spice level. This was giving 5 vibes, and I understand that. But it was fine. It was fine. You know, it was really giving 5 out of 5 chili peppers, but I was okay. I was okay. You know, I didn't mind it. I do want to put a trigger warning. If you do want to read this book, Ice Planet Barbarians, the first book, I do recommend you read it in the traditionally published version. So this one right here, either from the library or you get it from Barnes & Noble, because in the ebook version, there is a pretty, I'm not sure how graphic it was, but there is an on-page sexual assault scene. So if that is a trigger, I would avoid reading the ebook. The author did put a note at the end of this book saying because of the feedback from readers, she took out that scene from the traditionally published version, which is why I picked up this one. So if that is a trigger for you, that is something that's sensitive to you, I would recommend picking up this book either at the library or Barnes & Noble instead of on Kindle Unlimited, because the ebook does have that scene. But I love it. It was just such a fun time. The last couple weeks of the year, I read all 7 of these books. They were just so fun, easy to get through, and I enjoyed them down. So easily, this book was going to be on my top 10. Honestly, this whole series is on my top 10. It's a fun time. Okay, next series, I'm going to go back to my roots. I really went back to my roots with this one, and that is Angel Fall by Suzanne E. I thought I was done with YA fantasy. Don't ask me why I thought this, because it's honestly a crazy thought to have, but I thought I was done with YA fantasy. I was just like, hush, hush, Uglies, Divergent, all that is a part of my past. But then I read Angel Fall, and I was like, why would I ever think that? this series was so much fun. This was the first trilogy I read this year, and it gave me everything I needed. Literally, it was just so fun. I read all 3 books. All 3 books are on Kindle Unlimited. They have been on my Kindle Unlimited library for years, I swear, years. And it's such a fun YA fantasy series. So the premise of this series is basically the angels have come from somewhere. I'm not even sure. I don't think it's heaven, but they've come and they've just wreaked havoc on Earth. Earth is in dystopia. Desiree? No, that's a name. Desiree. The Earth is a mess, and the angels have done it. They've like, all the buildings are tarnished. There's like low food supplies, your water supplies. It's survival of the fittest, and there's kind of like gangs and factions that all people do is steal and just try to find a place to live day to day. So this teenage girl, as she is, as you are in a YA, is kind of in charge of her family, but not really in charge. Her sister is disabled, so her sister is on a wheelchair, so she cannot walk, and her mom is mentally ill, so she does have psychotic breaks. So kind of this girl kind of takes it upon herself to be kind of like the head of their 3-person household. So in the beginning of the scene, she's looking to get some food or to get some water, to get something essential to their family, where she sees 2 angels or 3 angels fighting. And usually that's not her business. Angels are evil, but she never sees them fighting each other. And then one of the angels actually ends up getting his wings ripped off of him. So he's just lying there in the street for dead. And because you're a teenager, and like all teenagers in YA books, she takes it upon herself to be the hero. I mean, if I saw someone struggling who was just like, maimed like that, even if they were evil, would I help them? Who knows? This is not about me. It's about her. So she takes him and kind of nurses him back to health, and then they go on like, the typical fantasy journey to some type of like headquarters to solve both of their problems. Sounds simple. Fun as hell. It's just fun as heck. I enjoyed it down. It was just some fun YA fantasy. Like literally, I don't know why I abandoned the genre, but I'm coming back. 2022, you're gonna see me. You'll see me. The next book is, I don't know if it's gonna come as a shock, but it's The Sound of Stars by Alicia Dow. I absolutely love this book, and I think this is not a polarizing book. It's a book that people usually say it was an okay debut. Like, I was reading all the reviews because I always do that for my favorite books. I don't know why. It's actually pretty toxic. Like, I don't need that pain. But everyone was saying it's okay book, a lot of 3 stars. And I was like, yeah, I hear what you're saying. I hear what everyone's saying. I hear and I see it. I don't care. This book was so fun. Like, it's such a fun young adult sci-fi starring a Black girl. Absolutely loved it. Basically, it's about this Black girl who, in a world where aliens have taken over, and she kind of lives in a high-rise in New York in a dorm style type deal, and they've taken away all forms of human enjoyment. No books, no music, no movies, no nothing. This teenage girl decides to break the rules, as you do in young adult books, and creates her own library. One of the aliens, M01 is, and all of the aliens, once they see a human like kind of break the rules, they're supposed to take the human and report them to the higher ups where they get executed. He finds this girl going to her library, and he's more intrigued, so he asks if they meet, and she thinks she's in trouble. They start to talk about the library, blah blah blah. They both get in trouble, and then they end up again on a journey. But it's so fun. It's so fun. And I think it's so funny because one of my friends on Booktube, Stephanie, said that they didn't like this book because of all the pop culture references. And I totally understand that. This book, if you look at my Goodreads, is actually a 4-star for that exact reason. But I love a Black girl magic moment, and I love a sci-fi, and I just loved it. So I totally understand that. If someone had told me that there were so many pop culture references in this book before I read it, I probably wouldn't have read it. So I'm glad no one told me that. But I absolutely loved it. It was just so much fun. And yeah, it's funny. I wasn't actually like ranking these books at all, but the last 2 books are actually my top 2 books. So coming in at number 2, we have Act Your Age, Eve Brown. This one is easily my favorite in the Brown Girls trilogy. If you know me, you know the first 2 books to me were 2 stars. I moved them to 3 stars because I love Black girl representation, and I think Talia Tabor did amazing representation in that front for the actual characters. The stories were whatever. But this one, not whatever. I do want to acknowledge that I was reading this book during a very high stress time when I was defending my dissertation, but that aside, it was so good. It's so good. It's my favorite of the series. Like, I love this book so much. Basically, it's about the youngest of the Brown sisters, and she is given not really an ultimatum, but her parents pretty much say, you do something. Why don't you do something? Like, get your life together, like, act your age. Eve Brown, and she kind of takes that to heart, so she ends up at Jacob's Inn. Jacob's the main male lead, and she ends up getting a job there. They start off as enemies. Again, I don't think you can be enemies if you're not trying to kill each other. So they start off hating each other, and then, you know, things ensue. And I loved this book down. Like, it was so good. Like, I absolutely loved every single thing about this book. So definitely, if you read either Chloe Brown or Danny Brown's book and you're like on the fence or whether you should read either or of those ones or this one, just read this one. Just read this one. You will not regret it. Quote me. Come back and let me know if you did. And my absolute, what is this motion? My favorite book that I read this year. Listen, there's a lot of young adult books on this list. Is that a lie? 4. Almost half. Young adult books eat. They eat and forever eat. The Darkness Outside Us. That is the name. By Elliot Schreifer. This book shocked me wholeheartedly. Literally, I was obsessed. I don't remember eating while I was reading this book. Like, I don't remember anything other than this book. It's a sci-fi book, and it takes place in the distant future where the Earth is separated by factions. Just think of the future. Basically, the main character's sister is kind of a revered astronomer. No, that's not what I'm thinking. Space captain? Space adventurer? She flies in space, and she's like revered, and then she is meant to go to this planet, I believe it's Titan, and then she sends a distress signal back to Earth saying that she needs help. So they send her little brother, because in young adult books, adults are useless. They send her little brother out on this trip to kind of retrieve her. And then he wakes up on the ship, remembering that he has this mission, but not really remembering how he got on the ship, but it's fine because he knows he's supposed to be on this mission. They say he fell down. He's like, fine. There is a Siri/Alexa type character as well as a robot. And those are the only other companions he has on the ship. So he believes, and then he finds out there's another boy from another faction on the other side of the ship, and he has no idea who this boy is. They don't know each other. So eventually they meet and they start questioning things about the Siri, about the robot, just questioning things about the whole mission. And that's all I'm gonna give away, because this book, I don't like. If you've read this book, does it hold such a place in your heart as it does with me? Because it was everything. This book is everything. Like, the structure of the book, like the way I even love the way the author structured the chapters, like the friendship and like the characterizations of even the factions that we get through the main characters, of how different their worlds or their countries are. I loved this book down. Like, The Darkness Outside Us was easily the best book, my favorite book that I read in 2021. And it's so funny because I think I read it in August or September. No, it's definitely September. And even in September, there's like 4 more months in the year, and I'm like, this is going to be the best book I read this year. This is going to be my favorite book of the year. Like, foreshadow it, I know it. No more questions need to be asked. Like, this is it. And it was. Is that 10? I think it was 10. So those are my top 10 books I read in 2021. Let me know if you read any of these books, how you like them. Let me know if you didn't like them so we can argue. Just kidding. It's all love. It's all love here. If you made it to the end of this video, please put this emoji here. What emoji would it be? I don't know yet, but please put this emoji here in the description. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.